Hey everyone, Mystical Mark here. This will be your weekly astrology forecast for the week of November 10th to the 16th of 2024. Before we get into the chart for this week, or the charts for this week, if you are looking for a reading with me, you can head on over to my Etsy shop, mysticalmarkastro.etsy.com. If you are looking to support me in any other way, such as on my Ko-Fi, similar to Patreon, you can head on over there as well as there is a Discord server. If you're interested in joining that, to be able to, community stuff, message me, talk to me, whatever. Yeah. Of course, all of those links are in the description below if you are on YouTube, and in my bio if you are on TikTok. If you're looking for the Discord server on TikTok, though, you do have to head on to the Linktree link and then get to Discord that way. And of course, the easiest and most simple way to help me is, of course, if you like this, hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, hit that follow button if you're on TikTok, and that helps the algorithm, do its algorithm thing. All right, with all that being said, let's get into it for this week. So I'll pull up the chart here. So this is the second time I've tried to record this video. Hopefully it works now. So let's have a look here. On Sunday, there is nothing major peaking on Sunday, so we're going to move on to Monday here, the 11th. All right, so this is Monday the 11th. This is, some people call it the 11/11 portal, 11th month, 11th day. Where I am in Canada, it's Remembrance Day. I believe it's in the US, it's Veterans Day. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm sorry if I did get that wrong, but yeah, I'm Canadian, so please forgive my ignorance on that. It's not on purpose. Okay, so on this day, on the 11th, on the first things we have going on here is, of course, well, not really the first, but one of the things going on, it's on the top of my list here, is Venus entering into Capricorn. All right, so I have Venus here in the chart at the top here, 0 degrees of Capricorn. So she was in Sagittarius, moved into Capricorn. So of course Capricorn is dealing with, we can consider it like negative thing, in terms of negative aspect, control, but control doesn't have to be negative. There's positive forms of control, like having control, when you're driving the car or walking or riding a bike, or control over your life, things like that. Capricorn can also deal with goals, career, boundaries. And I kind of want to touch on the boundary thing, as I kind of feel like that might be what this is kind of coming up now as Venus is ruling over the South Node here in Libra, dealing with, those Venus aspects of relationships, balance, justice, those kinds of things. And with Venus now in Capricorn, there could be an aspect of boundaries now that gets kind of maybe set in place in that way. So with the South Node here in Libra, you're kind of letting go of those aspects of like codependency, when things are out of balance, that kind of stuff, letting go of certain relationships. And there could be an aspect of boundaries, and maybe taking control, but not in a negative way, not controlling others. No. Taking control of yourself, setting appropriate boundaries, and controlling things from in an appropriate way for you, not being codependent toward, or not being codependent, but not how should I say this, trying to control other people. That's something that you do not want to do. And in fact, maybe that's something that is being let go of in a way by setting these boundaries, almost like that Capricorn energy, the positive aspects of Capricorn working against the negative aspects of Capricorn, maybe coming from somebody else with that South Node there in Libra. All right, so again, we're kind of changing another planet moving into a different sign. We're changing up the flavor here. Remember I mentioned in last week's video, Mercury is now in shadow, so pay attention to whatever comes up during this time, as that will likely be reflected into our awareness again. Of course, we have Mercury here in Sagittarius, Jupiter's sign. And we have Jupiter here in Mercury's sign, one of Mercury's signs of Gemini. Jupiter's retrograde. Mercury is in shadow, about to go retrograde by the end of the month. And we can actually pull it up here and have a quick look. I believe it's the 25th. Let's take a look. Direction changes. Yes, November 25th, 8:42 p.m. Central Time. Which is now actually the same central time as my central time. Because of daylight savings, where I am, we don't change our clocks, but everybody else does. So before, I was an hour different between like Central Time US, but now we're the same time zones. It's one of those anyways, but now you know. Mercury goes retrograde on that day, 8:42 p.m. Central Time, okay? All right, but what I was getting at with this really was with Mercury in Jupiter sign, Jupiter and Mercury sign, there's a mutual reception going on here. And a lot of people might think, well, in astrology, mutual reception, because Jupiter's retrograde, it might not be as active or whatever. It's active, okay? I can feel this. My guidance is, and through what I'm feeling, that this is active. There is a mutual reception going on here. These two energies are playing off of each other, especially since now Mercury's in shadow and going to go retrograde and Jupiter's already retrograde. That retrograde type stuff is very strong and emphasized within these two energies. And of course, with the Sagittarius and Jupiter type stuff, this can be blown out of proportion or very much expanded in a lot of different ways in terms of our awareness, communication, details, as well as Mercury rules Virgo. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of emphasis on this axis. Can deal a lot with learning, knowledge, communication, a lot of that kind of stuff, and a lot of expansion maybe of communication and all of this stuff. I want to say maybe be a bit mindful of this as well, since I'm recording this on November 5th. I think we all think you might, even if when you're not American, you know what day that is. Just so, and again, I'm not here to get political. I'm not going to touch on that at all. But with this, just be mindful of this, I'm saying, because with the expansion of this mercurial energy, especially with Jupiter being retrograde and 7 Mercury in shadow going into retrograde, beware of the volatility that this could cause, right? Let's be in a place of peace, guys, regardless of what happens, okay? No one's going to save you. It doesn't really matter who you vote for, because no one's going to save you, right? You are a master manifestor creator in your own right. Okay, you don't need somebody else to come in and save you. I mean, in some instances, you can manifest, being helped and asking for help and stuff like that. But we have to remember that you are far more powerful than you realize. And we need to, I think, learn to maybe expand and come together instead of hate on each other. And this could go in a lot of different ways. However, I'm just going to stop it there, and I'm not going to touch on it any further. All right? I'm not going to go there. Okay. Also on this day, we're going to have the Sun here in Scorpio in quincunx to Jupiter. So there could be a frustration here regarding some aspect of transformation or intensity that is occurring at this time with this quincunx to Jupiter wanting to expand in this mercurial related stuff. And I'm relating that again likely to this mutual reception that is occurring here between Mercury and Jupiter in each other's signs. So there could be likely a frustration here with the intensity, and even more of this intensity with Jupiter expanding all this fucking shit. Jupiter, Sagittarius, expanding all this mercurial stuff. And there's a large intensity with this Scorpio energy going on here. I'm being drawn to the fact that a lot of the political division is straight up just manipulated. It's straight up manipulated. That system is meant to manipulate people into fighting each other instead of everyone actually coming together. So that you're given the illusion that someone needs to be in control and to have control over you, when that doesn't actually have to happen, right? If you get rid of that manipulation towards the division, chances are we're actually more likely to come together and to help support each other than to actually hate each other. Okay, and that's something that was strongly coming through here, and I think that is maybe something that needed to come through based on what I was saying previously about this, right? So be mindful of this energy, and I think another reason why this is coming through, and this quincunx could be very frustrating, and something needs to be integrated here, but because of this Scorpio energy, remember, astrology is an energetic template, okay, that is conducive to certain things being manifest. Astrology itself is not fate. You create the fate through your manifestations, just like you created the character of you in this lifetime to be manifest here. And through that, your non-physical self, your soul, was like, okay, I want to be this person, do this thing, and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden the universe goes, okay, you got to be born on this time, this day. This is the energy that's conducive to you being that. Okay? So that is why with this, there may be certain people that know and understand this and are using this energy in a manipulative and not good way. But let's not focus on that. Be aware of that. Be aware that this can be used in both good and bad ways. There's good and bad to all things. This knowledge of this stuff, astrology, can be used in all kinds of different ways, okay? Just be mindful of that, all right? So with this energy, this could be used in a bad way to try to create more division, to use this intensity in a negative way rather than in a positive way. The positive aspect of this is this transformation of awareness and expansion in whatever way, expanding your mind, trying to figure this out. All right, we're all in this together. Let's talk about this. Let's communicate with this. Regardless of whatever the fucking outcome is, let's figure this out. And to transform that. There's a transformative energy. And I feel like that's the positive part of this. And with this quincunx, there's an integration that needs to occur here. Because everybody has been so manipulated into division that when one side wins and the other side doesn't, you got half of the population that is pissed off, angry, or sad, or whatever, and half of the population that's happy. Well, is that really a positive thing? It's positive for maybe one half, but not the other. So how do we deal with that? How do we transform and expand our minds, learn, maybe take a learning from this, whatever intensity or situation that is occurring from this, to maybe not have it continue to be that way within the future? And again, for some reason, I'm being drawn to this novile here, to Venus now in Capricorn, and of course Venus ruling over that South Node in Libra. We're giving birth to some kind of, I feel like there's maybe a boundary setting or something in our maybe relationships, releasing aspects of codependency. This could be aspects of codependency on government and systems, or regarding codependency on others, or setting certain boundaries to others that may be trying to push certain things onto us, whether that's certain viewpoints or whatever else. And really learning to properly expand and understand that, excuse me, I'm burping, this is something to hear, learn to expand, and that not everybody is going to have the same opinion as us, right? Not everybody is going to agree. And that's that Sagittarian energy as well, that expansion of Jupiter. There's more than one way to skin the proverbial cat. There's more than one path to the same destination. There's more than one way home, right? It's like when you're driving on the road and you've got your GPS on and you miss the turn. Guess what happens? The GPS goes, oh, you missed the turn. Okay, recalculating. You got a new path to where you need to go, right? That's what that is. There's an expansion of this energy here in this transformation. There could be an intensity with this, like I said, with people trying to use this in a bad way, but it could also be used in a good way as well. So my example through politics, it's just because I'm recording this on the 5th, and I can already feel, it's odd how I feel this energy is. It's like a bustling, like a bustling train station with all of these people. They got to take care of their business, go where they got to go, do what they got to do, and there's all this stuff going. It's like election day, we got to go here, got to do this, got to make sure we got this all got, and it's like all this hustle and bustle, and the energy, it feels that way. And even before I came up here, it's like the both cats that are where I live here are downstairs, just one on each couch, and they're just passed out. Like, they don't even give a crap that I'm there. They're just so tired and exhausted, and that's also how I feel today, but that's kind of how this exhaustive energy really kind of feels right now. And so what I'm trying to get at here is I'm using this as an example with this astrology right now and whatever is coming through regarding this. And maybe this has something to do with that, but also that's just an example of what this energy could be conducive to and what that could actually be. All right, and no hatred to like either side or whatever. People have reasons for choosing whatever they're going to choose. Whether that's right or wrong, whether they know the truth behind it, whether whatever is whatever. We're all going through this life blind in a lot of ways. So I think there's maybe a certain understanding and a compassion that maybe needs to come through with this as well. And maybe this intensity is trying to teach us to expand and transform in that way. There's an integration, like I said, that needs to occur here with that quincunx. All right, Venus, and I think, did I talk about that novile again? So that novile, like I said, that's that giving birth aspect to maybe an aspect of boundaries, codependencies, those types of things. But I feel like it's towards getting rid of negative aspects, letting go of maybe certain negative people that aren't, I don't want to say in any divisive way that aren't on your side, because that's not really what this is. But I feel like it's more to like giving birth to certain boundaries of respect. The word I got was like respect. It's learning to respect each other and setting certain boundaries and not being so I want to say overblown, but that could be part of what this integration is. There's an overblowing here that needs to be transformed maybe in some way, but and not so much in overblowing the situation, but in trying to understand different viewpoints. So instead of overblowing with Jupiter, expanding in a different direction with Jupiter. Do you see what I'm saying here? So it's surrounding those kinds of things. Okay, let's just let's go somewhere else here, okay? We're also going to have Venus here on this day in the semi-sextile to Pluto. So it looks like Venus comes into Capricorn 12:24 p.m. and that semi-sextile is at 9:44 a.m. So that's when she's going to be still in Sagittarius with that semi-sextile to Pluto. However, it looks like it's still active here as she comes into Capricorn. So again, there's a transformation here, and also maybe giving power to more of these boundaries things and expansion. But I feel like there's like a transformation of these Venus related things. So maybe there is an aspect of letting go that occurs there, and maybe boundaries become an aspect of this. But I feel like it's also letting go of old aspects of control, those types of things, and just I don't know. It's learning to maybe set boundaries in a new way, but there's an expansion that needs to occur regarding letting go of those aspects of control, and then maybe new boundaries that have to come into play to let go of those old things that maybe were codependent and other stuff there. Okay, then maybe that was something to pay attention to with that little burp there, all right? So we'll maybe just leave that at that. Another thing here is, we've got a yod going on, oh boy. The Sun will also be in quincunx to Chiron retrograde as well. So again, Sun, I was going to say Sun in Jupiter. Oh my God, Sun is in Scorpio, but I feel like Jupiter is playing a larger role here. So Sun in Scorpio in quincunx to Chiron. Again, this could be very triggering regarding aspects of ourselves, our identity, those types of things that come up. So again, this is relating to all of what I've said, but there's a transformation, an illumination and healing that needs to ultimately occur here. With everything that I talked about with this quincunx to Jupiter in sextile to Chiron here, which is forming kind of the bottom end of this yod here, with the focal point being that Sun in Scorpio. So there is a transformation and something that does need to occur here surrounding an aspect of healing. And I'm feeling like aspect maybe of communication, words, those kinds of things, maybe coming through, an awareness of something coming through regarding these wounds, how we've been hurt, healed. And Chiron is retrograde, so this is old stuff. Jupiter is retrograde. This is old stuff that needs to change and transform to heal with Chiron as well. But we may be triggered with this, but be transformed in some way. That's Sun in Scorpio. And again, Scorpio is not an energy to mess with, but Scorpio is not anything to also really be afraid of either. Thing is, I was thinking of this last night as well. It's like people don't like Scorpio because they're too pussy to face Scorpio. And sorry for if that word offends anyone or whatever. It is, I don't mean it as degrading to anyone or anything. I'm meaning it as like, let's say you're too, basically you don't want to face it, is what I'm saying with this, right? It's like People don't like Scorpio because they don't like what Scorpio brings up. Scorpio brings up what you need to face, what you need to transform in order to heal and be that phoenix rising from the ashes to move on to a better place, right? Okay, so there's a strong aspect like to that as well. Interesting. I was also thinking last night. I used to see like this thing of like like Gen Z versus millennials, and how like millennials look so young despite being older than Gen Z, and some Gen Z look like so old and stressed or whatever. And I kind of was like thinking about it, and some guidance that was coming through was like, well, millennials, that generation has Pluto and Scorpio. With that, they're innately able to deal with tower moments, intensity, transformation. It's like the cat with 9 lives. They could just, something happens in their life as a complete tower moment. They have more of an ability to be able to deal with that and to transform and deal with those moments in life. And what I mean by tower moment is like the tower card in tarot, where it's like the tower's falling, there's lightning striking, and maidens falling from the top of the tower, and all these things. Okay, you get what I mean by that, right? But they have that innate within them as a generational aspect, right? For, I always consider Pluto the signifier of generations, and millennials have that Pluto and Scorpio. They're able to handle that intensity a lot better than basically everybody else, which is why that stress doesn't like eat away at them as much as it does with maybe other people. It's not to say that they can't be stressed or that it doesn't affect them or anything. It might just take a bit more of an extreme to do so. And again, this depends on your chart and who you are and what's going on. There's always an exception to the rule. So I'm saying this as a general thing, but there's always an exception to the rule. So don't come after me if you're like, well, I know, okay, chill. But that's kind of what I mean by that. Okay, but anyway, back to the Scorpio thing, is it's about, you got to face what you got to face. You got to transform what you got to transform. So there's something that could be triggering here, something that we know, these planets are retrograde, something that is old, that needs to be transformed, healed in some way, and integrated in some way. There's a yod here dealing with this aspect of transformation that needs to occur. Remember, let's focus on the positive transformation, not the negative one. Okay? All right. So that's Monday. Happy Monday. I'm being reminded of like those Garfield comics where Garfield always hates Mondays. Oh, it's Monday. That might be what that might be what this is, okay? And it's the 11/11 portal. So there's an intensity that exists on that day, especially with that yod. So pay attention to that. All right. So on Tuesday here, the 12th, we're going to have Venus here in Capricorn, now in quintile to Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, in Pisces. So again, I consider Saturn the dissolution of this malefic energy. I feel like there's an aspect of maybe boundaries and stuff coming up here, possibly aspect of control. But again, Saturn's retrograde, but there's a dissolution of this stuff, right? That's kind of malleable type energy there with Saturn in Pisces, with Venus in Capricorn, with that quintile. That's behind the scenes, very strong feminine type energy. With Capricorn, it could be like putting in the work. With that quintile, it's that behind the scenes. It can be putting in the blood, sweat, and tears behind the scenes to learn, to create, to do all of that stuff. So this could be a difficult thing here, and it could be surrounding these Venus-related themes, which could be related to people, things. We're with that Taurus energy, right? This Venus here, it looks like there's a biquintile to Uranus. So there's some aspect of change and that dissolution of that old structure, malefic energy, control happening. There's still that semi-sextile there to Pluto as well in Capricorn. So there's something here going on. I'm hearing boundaries again, an aspect of boundaries, maybe letting go, something around that way in that sense, but it's behind the scenes type of stuff. Although this could be coming through, whether you're working on something behind the scenes or that stuff is now coming through into the physical, into the reality in that way as well. Also on this day, we're going to have Mercury coming into exact square with Saturn. This can deal with harsh communication. I feel like with this expansive stuff going on here, with Mercury now building into opposition to Jupiter and the north node of Uranus, which is also here, oh my God. Dealing with aspects of expansion and change is the positive part that is coming through here. With this square to Saturn, this could be intense. This could deal with intense communication stuff that you don't want to hear. That could deal with aspects of control, strong stuff maybe coming through in some way. But it's a dissolution of this malefic energy. Maybe seeing what this really is in terms of Saturn in Pisces. Pisces seeing with secrets, those kinds of things. Saturn retrograde, maybe going over that stuff. There could be an expansion, revelation of some kind of that, an awareness of something like that really coming through here as well. All right, we're also going to have the Sun here in sesqui-square to the North Node. So a sesqui-square is a minor aspect, also known as a super square to the North Node here in Aries, and also semi-square the South Node in Libra. So again, there's this idea of transformation. In order to move forward into our independent, sovereign state, there's an aspect of maybe letting go, boundaries, that kind of stuff that needs to occur here. Excuse me, pay attention to that. There's this novile here again with Venus in Capricorn. Novile is like giving birth to something, but also learning something. There's a learning of boundaries here. There's a learning of this transformation. And this could be, what I heard was almost like sexual stuff maybe coming out, because we are at Sun in Scorpio. There's that transformative aspect, but also that sexuality aspect, that maybe something's coming out and there's maybe some kind of boundary or something that maybe needs to be set in that way. I don't know. Or maybe whoever's watching this needs to hear that, or that's what's happening for them. So there's something about that coming through. However, with the sesqui-square to the North Node, there's a strong, intense push here going forward. This is very strong Mars energy. Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, Pluto the modern ruler. And of course, Mars rules Aries, where the North Node is. With a sesqui-square, that's a strong push. You cannot hide this anymore. It cannot continue to be swept under the rug. It's this push for resolution in some way. And the Sun in Scorpio is adding to this intensity. And again, Mars is in the Sun sign of Leo right now. So there's an illumination maybe that is also occurring here regarding this, or that masculine like action taking. However, with Leo energy, you want to take action from the heart, not from the ego. Leo can be very egotistical, but it's also can be very heartfelt as well. So you want to take action from the heart, not from the ego, okay? And so with the sesqui-square, there's a strong desire, a transformative desire to really continue to push forward in a new direction for ourselves, our independence, those kinds of things. So this is something that needs to be transformed in order to be pushing forward in that direction, and it cannot be swept under the rug any longer. And this could result in this aspect of letting go, maybe giving birth to boundaries, transformation, transformation because the Sun is here, but boundaries, transformation of these like Venus related themes, and learning that type of stuff and giving birth to that, surrounding those types of things, maybe boundaries against aspects of control as well. Also on this day, we're going to have Neptune in biquintile to Juno. So Juno is now in Scorpio here, Neptune in Pisces. I feel like this is a very malleable, dissolving type of energy, especially with Juno here in Scorpio, that transformative aspect. This is very malleable and creative and flowing, as this biquintile is a strong feminine energy, putting in the behind the scenes work. Could relate to aspects of fate and stuff coming through, with Juno relating to these aspects of contractual partnerships. It can be business contracts, marriages, any type of committed type of partnership or relationship in some way. This could be like roommates. This could be like any of that stuff, right? But there's an intensity surrounding this, and likely a transformation that needs to occur with this as well. And there's what I felt here was like just this malleable energy, especially with Pisces and Neptune. It's like that very flowing, mutable, like malleable type of energy. This could relate to secrets and stuff like that, and behind the scenes hidden stuff coming through with this as well. But this is like behind the scenes creative, you kind of just gotta roll with it kind of type energy, where it's putting in the behind the scenes hard work surrounding that as well. And again, here also peaking on this day is this Venus in biquintile to Uranus. So again, there's this aspect of these, I feel like these big, heavy, almost like solid earthly changes, foundational changes that need to shift and be made surrounding these Venus-related themes. So again, This Uranus is in Venus' sign of Taurus, Venus' sign of Taurus, as well as we have the South Node here in Libra. So there's a change in letting go. And again, there's aspects of like boundaries. There's something surrounding that. There's a change, a shake up, something that needs to occur here. And it could be surrounding aspects of control within partnerships and relationships as well in that sense too. But again, this is very creative, feminine, behind the scenes type of energy that is strongly coming through here that can almost sometimes also feel like fate. But remember that fate is something, is the manifestation that we've bestowed upon ourselves. Fate is what we chose to, our fate, we choose our fate. And it's what we chose to bestow upon ourselves, basically, right? In a lot of different ways. And other people's free will manifestations can, yes, affect us. However, we also have free will to deal with that in ways too. Okay, so yeah. All right, that's all I've got for Tuesday here. Let's move on to Wednesday. And Wednesday, nothing major peaking as well, the 13th. So let's move on to Thursday here, the 14th. All right, so on this day, we're going to have Venus here, now at 3 degrees of Capricorn, in quincunx to Mars in Leo. So again, there's a frustration here regarding... Okay, so one of the things I was drawn to here was Venus in this conjunction to Jupiter's South Node. Something that was like know-it-all coming through. I don't know if that's for anyone, but again, Jupiter South Node, letting go of that. Sagittarius, Jupiter can sometimes be like know-it-all type energy, especially we're dealing with Mercury in these sign, in Sagittarius sign, Jupiter and Mercury sign. There could be like know-it-all type energy kind of coming through. And of course, with Mars being in Leo, this dramatic, this, I want to almost say like selfish center stage type stuff. I don't know exactly what this is, but maybe this is coming through for someone watching this or something like happening like that. But there's a frustration here maybe regarding some of these negative aspects of Leo coming through. But with Venus on Jupiter's South Node, there's maybe a letting go of maybe what I talked about previously about this overblown Jupiterian kind of stuff with this know-it-all type energy, and maybe really just understanding that there's just more than one way to do something. There's more, all paths lead home. There's more than one way to get there. There's more than one way to, do whatever, right? And we need to let go of maybe those old, outdated things, and that could deal with aspects of control, could also deal with boundaries, that kind of stuff. With this quincunx to Mars, this could also be, like I said, instead of taking action from the ego, taking action from the heart, and integration with that, it may involve aspects of boundary setting and learning to let go of maybe see these negative Jupiterian aspects in some way as well. Again, there's still that novile there to Sun in Scorpio, so yeah, everything I talked about previously regarding that is still valid here too. Okay, we're also going to have Mercury here, semi-square Pluto. So again, we're this aspect of the mind, communication, the overblown of that. Mercury in shadow now, in Sagittarius. So pay attention to what this shadow period is for you and what the stuff is coming up, because this is going to be coming up for a re-review during, that Mercury retrograde. Okay, really strongly pay attention to that. And I was going to say something that needs to be transformed in that sense, maybe in terms of aspect of control. So it could be an aspect of ego and know-it-allism surrounding this, around these aspects of control that needs to be transformed and let go of in some way as well here. All right. And politically, that's on both sides. It's not just one side, it's on both sides. If we're going to get into that argument again, like how I talked about earlier in this video, it's on both sides, not just one. All right. Remember that political stuff is a manipulation of division. It doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. Okay, so again, with that semi-square, Pluto is giving power to this, ultimately to bring it to the surface to really truly be transformed. But there's a likely here transforming those old, outdated aspects of the old world, that know-it-allism, that egoism, that all of that stuff that I've already kind of talked about with that Mars, quincunx, and all of that, right? And Mercury here is on Uranus's south node. Okay, so Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So there's an aspect of change, of maybe really releasing old stuff and embracing an aspect of new towards these aspects of change. Jupiter in Gemini on Uranus's north node. Okay, so there's a very strong aspect of really shaking things up. Could be shocking as well, but an aspect of change coming through. There's also a quad novile here. So again, when we're dealing with noviles and stuff, this is really learning to make these big shifts and changes, especially with these earth signs, with this energy. When I was talking about that quintile between Venus and Uranus here, this is dealing with really heavy earth signs. And these are big things, almost like heavy things that really need to shift and change in this way. And we're learning that these things need to be changed, right? Uranus and Taurus learning to see the value in change and really, that cattle prod energy, that Uranus and Taurus, that cattle prod really getting that cow fucking moving in a new goddamn direction that it actually needs to go in. Okay. But yeah, there could be an intense communication coming through here with this semi-square here, and ultimately transforming these old, outdated aspects of control through this overblown, intense energy that we're kind of dealing with here now, right? Okay, we're also going to have Mercury in sextile to Black Moon Lilith. So again, there's an aspect of balance that needs to occur here in terms of maybe where we felt outcast. Right? Lilith energy isn't something to mess with. Lilith, I love Lilith. She's badass. She's awesome. But this is where we've felt outcast in terms of our relationships, justice, aspects of codependency, that type of stuff. The smoke detector just me. That might be something to pay attention to. That scared the shit out of me. Okay. Anyways, there's the sextile to Mercury here with this Black Moon Lilith. So there may be something coming out here. And this could deal with an intensity of communication as well surrounding where people have been outcasted and ultimately transforming those old, outdated ways of being. It's almost like that know-it-all or that narcissism type energy that's like kind of like a fuck you to that maybe. In terms of how we felt outcast in that sense as well. But it's transforming these old outdated aspects of control, really, and getting rid of this old stuff. It's like I said, that Pluto and Capricorn, it's that last nail in the coffin of the old world, making sure that it's in there and that it's never going to come back again. Okay, so yeah, there could be an intensity surrounding communication in that as well. That Black Moon Lilith is also adding to the intensity of this as well, in terms of where we may feel outcast and like all of these things. Right, and with this very Jupiterian, Mercurial type stuff, is seeing a different direction, seeing that there's more than one way, and that it maybe doesn't have to be where people are constantly always left out all the time, right? Like we're not seeing the bigger picture here, that maybe it needs to expand, as well as the positive aspect to this energy. Okay, we're also going to have Venus here. Scared me again. Venus here in sextile to Juno. So again, it's highlighting these transformation of these contractual partnerships. There's a heavy emphasis on these relationships here. Could deal with aspects of control, of boundaries, of goals within relationships, but there's a transformation that needs to occur, especially within these contractual relationships, contractual partnerships, contracts, the people involved within those contracts, if it's a business contract, whatever, the transformation that is occurring. And this could be corporate stuff, work stuff, that related in that sense as well. But there's a change, a transformation that's relating to this in some way, right? And again, it's on Jupiter's south node, so this is releasing old ways and maybe expanding into new ones, right? There's maybe a letting go of something, and like I said, there's some kind of transformation occurring here with this as well. And that Venus is still in that novile aspect, so it's learning to give birth to change and transform maybe old aspects of control, setting proper boundaries, those types of things in some way with that energy as well. All right, so that's Thursday. Let's move on to Friday here, the 15th. And of course, this is when we're going to have that full moon in Taurus. So Sun here is Scorpio, full moon in Taurus, conjunct Uranus. So change. Transformation, change, seeing a new path, new way. We're dealing with this expansive Jupiterian energy. There's a letting go. There's something that's, like I said, the energy of last week, or the week that I'm currently recording this in, is like weird, almost seems faded. But again, the fate that we bestow upon ourselves, that becomes manifest. There's an aspect of free will here always. Okay, but there's this illumination here of this change that ultimately needs to be made, or releasing blocks to change, or this is illumination of this change. It's highlighting this, and this intense Scorpio energy really pushing with this, especially with this opposition to Uranus, Sun opposition to Uranus, Sun in Scorpio. This is very fixed energy, but the thing is, Taurus only likes to kind of really do what it wants, but Taurus needs to learn to see the value in change. I feel like the strong intensity of a lot of this stuff, and again, the Sun here, there's a triseptile to Jupiter, it's Jupiterian energy, so it could be something faded coming through, something from another realm seemingly to come through, but this is behind the scenes stuff that is expanding this transformative type of energy. Whatever that manifestation is, whatever that fate is that we've bestowed upon ourselves, really kind of coming through here in this way. Let's take a look at the moon here. Yeah, I don't think I really want to touch too much on that. There's that trine to Pluto at the end of Capricorn. So like their transformation and change there. That ultimately is positive, but yeah, there's illuminating that aspect of change. This could be shocking. There's this intensity of this transformative aspect of change. And these are changes that we know that we need to make. Releasing blocks to that, but also really just illuminating this area of what these big changes that we need to make are, to kick that cow in the butt to get it fucking moving with this Scorpio type of energy. The smoke alarm keeps like beeping and going off like that. So maybe something to really pay attention to in this way as well. Also here, there is Saturn is going direct on this day as well. It's before the full moon, I believe. So Saturn goes direct 8:37 a.m. This full moon occurs 3:29 p.m. Again, that's Central Time. So with Saturn direct now, Saturn is of course still in its shadow period, but now Saturn is moving forward in Pisces. So again, this dissolution of this malefic energy, we had this review of this, and maybe what needs to be dissolved, change, all of this stuff. Now Saturn is moving forward, being like, hey, let's go now. Let's put in the work to get this done. But again, it's the dissolution of this, right? And I'm also, another thing that's coming through is compassion. So Saturn tends to teach through restriction. So one of the aspects of Pisces is, of course, compassion, and Saturn is that restriction. Okay, so there could be like some kind of restriction of compassion, but that is, of course, where we need to expand. Saturn is where we need to expand, and of course, with all this Jupiter, Mercury and shadow type stuff that I talked about earlier, and with this mutual reception occurring here, dealing with this expansion, maybe expansion of the mind, expansion of awareness, expansion of a communication, appropriate communication, understanding maybe we need to say things in different ways, or whatever, that's coming through in some way. Say things in different ways, see things in different ways, understand things in different ways. All of that stuff may be coming through, and that could be that lesson that maybe is coming through regarding this as well. There is the biquintile to Saturn here, to this Uranus and the moon here on this full moon. So again, this could be very behind the scenes, maybe faded, very feminine, creative type stuff coming through here that is affecting this as well, surrounding that area as well. All right, so we're also going to have Jupiter in sesqui-square to Juno. So there could be overblown, highlighted communication here surrounding whatever transformations need to be made in some type of contractual partnership. It's interesting. I think, you know what, this could even be like soul contracts too, that it's completely unknown to people, but whatever relationship you have with someone could be something you decided before even coming here, and that could be something that's being intensely highlighted through this as well. Maybe, maybe not. But regardless, this is dealing with, again, that aspect of transformation. And it could deal with sexuality and stuff, depending on the context of what this is, of what these types of partnerships are, right? Because sometimes that sexual stuff is maybe not wanted in certain kinds of relationships, if you know what I mean. Consent is a thing, guys. Let's remember that. Love and respect, let's remember that. But here, so with Juno in Scorpio, again, it's ultimately the core idea of Scorpio is facing what you got to face and transforming and healing that, okay? With the sesquid square to Jupiter, this is expanding this area of what needs to be transformed and changed and bringing an awareness to this. Again, Jupiter is retrograde, and then again there's this mutual reception here. So there's an expansion of this awareness, of this transformation of all of this that needs to occur here. With this sesquid square, it's something that cannot be swept under the rug any longer. All right, Mars here is also peaking on this day in quintile to Black Moon Lilith. So there's an illumination and taking action on maybe where people have been outcast. But I feel like this is coming from the heart, but this is taking this, we're in this sign of Leo, there's this masculine action taking type of energy. There isn't more of this introverted type of energy with Mars in Cancer. Now there's more of this extroverted energy with Mars in Leo. But with this quintile, this is maybe behind the scenes type stuff. So whether this is coming through something that has been happening behind the scenes, or something that you are taking action on behind the scenes, maybe regarding this aspect of this Black Moon Lilith energy where we have been outcast in terms of people relationships, bringing that to light, taking action regarding that, and wanting to come maybe more from a loving space. I don't know. There's this aspect of this heartfelt Leo energy coming through here regarding maybe relationships. I don't know, for some, maybe like a knight in shining armor. Again, you manifest that, but anyways, it could be that, right? But I just feel like let's focus, I think is what I want to say. Let's focus on the positive aspect of taking action from the heart here, not outcasting other people, but maybe standing up for those, including ourselves, who have been outcast, maybe in terms of our relationships or put upon, or aspects of codependency in that way. So there's something, an aspect from the heart that needs to maybe need taken action on regarding of where we've maybe been left out or taken or been outcast on. But again, this is very strong, I want to say strong feminine energy, but I feel like this is very positive, like loving energy is what it feels like coming through with this quintile of that behind the scenes hidden type energy. Is like someone's got your back in like this positive action taking kind of a way. And I feel like I'm kind of being drawn to like that, almost like the Mars warrior type energy, but from the heart. It's not a bad thing. It's like I said, that knight in shining armor in a sense. But again, that doesn't have to be romantic. That can be in anyone that's stepping up to the plate to try to help where maybe somebody has been outcast in some way in terms of relationships or put upon or codependency in that sense as well. But this is behind the scenes. It could seem faded coming through like that in a way. Yeah, but a very strong, there's a loving feminine energy coming through, but maybe perceived as like that knight in shining armor masculine type of energy in that way as well. All right, okay, so let's go on to Saturday here. So on Saturday, we're going to have Venus square the nodes. All right. We're also going to have, that's when we're going to have that Sun opposition Uranus and Mercury and quintile to the South Node. Okay. So Venus square the nodes. There's an aspect of this Venus and Capricorn energy. And I'm feeling drawn to this cardinal aspect of pushing forward. All right. So again, Venus in Capricorn now squaring the South Node. I've already kind of talked about this in Libra, where Venus is here. There could be an aspect of boundaries in order to take action to be able to move forward in a new direction regarding our independence. Boundaries against relationships that maybe aren't working, people that isn't working, aspects of codependency, taking control of our own lives and moving forward in that way as well. Being drawn back to maybe the election stuff, and that it doesn't really matter. Take control over your own life and move forward in that, and let go of areas and people and things that aren't serving you in that way. But what I mean that is in a positive way, guys. And yeah, you got to let go of the negative stuff. Let go of the negative stuff. Okay, but at the same time, there's an idea of maybe respect that kind of comes through, and that could come through with Capricorn as well in a positive way, as being like, respect the boundary that I've put in place, respect that I want to have control over my life, respect these certain things, respect my goals, that type of stuff that is strongly coming through. Capricorn is almost like that boss type energy as well. It's that your vocation, what you've been known for, or what you're known for, or how you're kind of seen in the world from that place of stature in a way. So there's that ideal of respect that maybe comes through in that sense, an aspect of boundary setting in that way to be able to move forward. Excuse me. Maybe that's something that's strongly coming through there as well. Pay attention to that. But also with this cardinal energy really pushing through in a new direction, maybe setting boundaries and letting go what you need to let go of in an appropriate way, right? Again, with that Venus still conjunct Jupiter South Node there, and within a 3-degree conjunction surrounding that expansion and letting go of maybe some old, like I said, the old node always, but it's this ideal of expansion. There's an ideal of expansion that is really occurring there, and maybe letting go to move towards a new path in a sense. All right, so we're also going to have Mercury here in that biquintile again to the South Node here in Libra. So there could be communication surrounding this now as well. So relating it to this Jupiterian energy, there could be a communication surrounding that Venus square the nodes type stuff, but there could be behind the scenes type stuff, maybe now coming into our awareness and coming through, but ultimately surrounding this aspect of letting go of these old ways of lack of justice, of codependency, of those kinds of things. But again, that could seem like fate. That could be behind the scenes work that is coming through, behind the scenes communication. That could also be stuff that has been worked on behind the scenes that is now coming into our awareness as well, surrounding maybe what we do need to let go of, or things from the past that are coming up that need to be brought into our awareness, ultimately to be let go of and reworked in some way as well. Remember, Mercury is in shadow, so pay attention to all of this stuff coming through. All right, we're also going to have that Sun in opposition to Uranus. Again, peaking on this day. When does that peak? So exact 8:44 p.m. So we're gonna feel that probably most of the day, and then probably into the Sunday as well. So again, there's this huge aspect of things that we know that we needed to change. Uranus is retrograde, that we know that we needed to change, that we need to learn to see the value in these aspects of change, but that we know that we needed to change to face, transform, and ultimately heal, to be that phoenix rising from the ashes and pushing through in this way again as well. All right, so there could be, again, shocking intensity. This could be an intense weekend, but again, with this full moon is aspecting this as well. So there could be still this intensity throughout this week, and again, this could be also a lot related to post-election in the U.S. type as well. And despite the fact that I'm Canadian, I'm not American, but however, America being America and what it is, it tends to really have a strong effect on the rest of the world. It just does. It has for a very long time. And the world's looking at you, USA. I mean, really, we are. So whatever happens there tends to really affect the rest of the world in a lot of ways. Yeah. Because a lot of people look to America either in positive ways and in negative ways too, right? There's good and bad to all things, but I think there's a lot of positive to America in general, but there's also a lot of negative too, and that goes for any country, including my own, trust me. Okay, trust me. All right, so yeah, that's all I've really got for this week. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. Again, if you've made it this far in the video, I always say in the comments, leave a purple heart so I know you're a real one. Take care, everyone. Let's try to live in harmony, peace, expand our minds, bring awareness to, positive awareness to things. Okay, let's learn to expand, embrace change, and just ultimately see where this is going to take us. We are master manifestors. We ultimately have the control here. It's the people are in control. They're the ones that need to be in control, not some dude sitting in some high up place somewhere. All right. Thank you guys. Take care. Have a great week. Bye for now.